Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Wings Podcast. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri. On today's show, we will meet Sumedh Ghaisas, who lives in London and since 2018 works as a research engineer at DeepMind, a subsidiary of Alphabet Inc. His work focuses on AI research at the intersection of arts, culture, and science with a goal to improve our everyday life. In addition to this heady day job, Sumedh is helping his parents in building and nurturing some timeless experiences at Tamarind Retreat, a peaceful getaway along Kihim Beach in Alibag, Maharashtra. Welcome, Sumedh, to this episode of Wings Podcast.
Hi, Milind. Pleasure to be here.
Sumedh, honestly, I'm kind of sitting on a mixed emotion right now. Super happy and excited to have somebody like you on the podcast, but a bit anxious also because I am kind of kindergarten stuff on this subject called artificial intelligence, though I have a huge fascination for it. And you are working in DeepMind, which is probably one of the most leading tech and research organization in the world on the subject of AI, specifically now with Alphabet at its parent. And just to kind of get my bearing right, I ended up doing a little bit of browsing and research, and I came across this beautiful line on DeepMind's website about what it stands for and what is its story. And these are words that I'm quoting from DeepMind's website. So here it goes. We have always been fascinated by human intelligence. It shaped the modern world we live in today. Intelligence allows us to learn, imagine, cooperate, create, communicate, and so much more. By better understanding different aspects of intelligence, we can use this knowledge as inspiration to build novel computer systems that learn to find solutions to difficult problems on their own. Can you throw some light here?
Sure. This is a very, very profound thought, to be honest, and grasping the importance of finding solutions is a key to understanding why we do this. Um, just a small thing. Intelligence is a complicated thing. Humans been trying to define it for like ages now, and we still don't understand much of it. We don't understand where it stems from. We don't understand how to quantify it. We say, sure, IQ is a one metric of it, but I don't think it summarizes emotional intelligence. I don't think it summarizes intelligence in artistic behaviors. I think there are a lot more to intelligence we still haven't thought about or we still haven't grasped. And there's a very beautiful saying said by Alan Turing in one of his BBC interviews where he says, intelligence is not something marvel, right? Whatever intelligent you can think about, once you tell it to someone, it becomes knowledge, right? It's this amazing quality about intelligence. Once you share, it's knowledge. A solution coming up with it is intelligence, but sharing is knowledge. And then what he says is, oh, like world thinks I've created this. So he created this machine to solve a World War II crisis where he was trying to break Enigma, the German the coding machine, and everyone's in awe of it. Like in the news articles, everyone was like, "Oh, a machine can solve this thing that no mathematician has been able to solve." And he's like, "That's not intelligence. Once I know what it is, it's just knowledge that I'm going to impart on the world. And people are going to create more and more solutions out of it." So this is where the DeepMind mission connects, is taking that thing further. Like we now have this knowledge to solve certain of our problems. We expand on these problems and find solutions that are more and more um, abstract. So we did first like just computing certain numbers, computing shares, computing what our accounting is. And then we thought, oh, but there is more to intelligence. Why don't we explore arts? Why don't we explore science, where humans are capable of adding extra information to this field? Why can't we create solutions that also can help us in solving these problems? So I think that's why I connect to with DeepMind's mission a lot. Like, it's we are not saying we're going to solve intelligence, because that's a in my head that's a meaningless word. um, in my head, what exists is just problems and solutions, and we are just trying to solve more problems in the world, and we are trying to empower us more into where we can reach in human thoughts or human like imagination. I think that's where AI is leading right now.
So you've been working in DeepMinds since 2018. That's a good almost 5 years now. Uh,
Hmm.
what sort of problem statements that have attracted your attention, which you feel you want to do something about it?
So I think maybe like, yeah, this is a maybe something new that I've been exploring for the last couple of years now. It's a problem called we call alignment. I think it stems from human behavior. I think it stems from every entity capable of making its own decisions, like humans, like animals, like machine. If we want them to solve complicated problems, we will be giving them certain space to explore the solutions. And that's what all animals, all humans do, right? We have certain space, and we try to explore in that space to find new and new creative solutions. But while doing that, I think what civilization is setting boundaries to these spaces. You can't go outside of these boundaries to solve. That boundary is what we call alignment, right? So right now we have certain norms in which we act in a society, certain norms in which we have established how the civilization will work. And now that we have this another system that will interact inside our civilization, find solutions for our problems, we want that entity to also understand these norms. And most of human norms come from emotions, like how we say that why we don't be racist is because of we have this equality embedded in us, that we feel all entities are equal. That emotion needs to be inside an AI, because the AI, while finding the solution, can't step over this boundary. So this is what we call alignment. So alignment can be anything. It can be about equality, it can be about some other special cases. We call them paperclip problems. That's a very funny thing. So what we call the problem is, let's say I create a system that can generate paper clips, simple, and I give a task that just generate paper clips. The problem with this is, if you don't have a boundary, it will end up creating so many paper clips that it will exhaust all the resources on planet earth, and then we won't have resources. So it needs to understand these like complications in how we solve problems while handling resource, handling everyone's emotions, um, understanding how humans behave with each other, what do they care about, what society cares about, what certain cultures care about. We need to make sure that we don't offend people. So this is a very complicated problem to actually understand and set up for AI to solve. So that's where I spend most of my time. Like, I understand what it means for AI to be robust against attacks, robust against certain emotions, robust against racism, sexism, um, and a lot of these like other medical complications that also happen in terms of alignment. So yeah, it's a complicated issue, but it's a lot of fun to play around with this.
Let me kind of try and comprehend this to something which is personally concerning me right now.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'm hoping and I'm confident that someday some solution will emerge for that. And I'm wondering if AI can be the tool or the technology which can bring it in. And what I'm really talking about this uh, phenomena that is happening in the social media world,
Hmm.
where everybody on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform they are in, they are
Hmm.
able to express themselves freely, etc., etc. And of course, every expression has a consequence, both intended and unintended. And with
Absolutely.
with chatbots and if I can use the word rogue AI out there, there are certain voices which seem to get amplified far more than what they should be. And
Yeah.
it is influencing human judgment, human choice making. And what I'm really getting at is this increased polarization that we as humanity are finding ourselves in, of kind of fragmenting ourselves between the us and the they. And just about
Yeah.
every aspect of life, whether it is politics or culture or economics, there is I am okay, you are not okay kind of syndrome that is happening. And I wonder the alignment thing that you just spoke of, which is the focus area of your work, also
Yeah.
picks up a position to try and focus on the ethics part of the whole thing. That, you know, as they say, technology is value neutral. How we
Yeah.
use that and what do we do with it is what decides what are the outcomes. So I wonder if your specific work in AI focuses on this sort of issues of moral dilemmas, if I can use that phrase.
Yeah, I think you summarized it pretty well. I think, yeah, technology is like a rock. You can use it to carve tools or use it to throw at people. Uh, and it's my work revolves around understanding the mathematical framework behind these certain problems. But I know some people who are trying to solve the problems you talk about, and I work closely with those people. And yes, what we try to achieve with these chatbots is we try to pull out these biases one by one. It's a hard task, and you can relate it to just training a human. Think about school. The real meaning of school is not just imparting knowledge, is also to put all these children together so that they understand each other. They start learning these values slowly. Over time, we create the society. And this is how we've been doing it as well, right? Like, we created the school system, or we created the system so that we grow and grow. With every generation we impart more and more knowledge, and that's what we've been doing with chatbots. And you might be surprised how many parallels we draw every day while we train these algorithms. We think about our systems because our ancestors have done a lot of work for us. They have they have thought through how learning works, or how a system can be designed so that everyone's a little better, or everyone grows with along with that system. And we keep creating such systems inside to sort of mimic that behavior. We take like bunch of chatbots, we put them together, have conversations with each other, and we see where the bias creeps in, and we do reinforcement learning, just like school. um, and it's a really amazing thing to notice when you are in a meeting and people are trying to draw these parallels. Oh yeah, okay, let's think about it from a school angle. So yeah, I think it's a very important work for society, and we have entire teams actually dedicated to understanding bias and how to remove it from these algorithms, and how to make these algorithms still interact with each other without causing chaos. And it's an amazing point you had come up with. But yeah, it's on our mind. I think it's a very important alignment issue that we've been facing.
So, Sumit, we all have grown up listening to stories as kids, and this is not just this part of the world, India, where you and I come from. Though you are living in the UK at the moment, I guess kids
Hmm.
all over the world, in any continent, be it anywhere in Asia, Africa, US, Europe, North America, they have all grown up learning stories. And some of the stories that we Indians have been fascinated with, these Akbar Birbal stories, right? I mean, uh, as an 5-year
Yes.
old and an 8-year old, they taught us some important lessons in life. So for example, one story that I can never forget even at this age is how, just to check how the civic sense of his subjects, uh, King Akbar, in the middle of the night, goes to a junction of a crossroad, and right in the middle of the road, he kind of puts a small cloth bag full of gold coins, but on
Hmm.
top of it he puts a huge rock, huge massive rock. And then he just, when the daylight comes, he just sits in one corner, uh, you know without anybody recognizing him, to just see what is the behavior of people there. And
Hmm.
those are the days of probably horse carriages and bullock carts and people walking. Uh, and then he would see throughout the day everybody just going around the rock, and avoiding it, and going their way. Nobody takes the effort of trying to lift the rock and move it away, because anyway it's a hindrance to everybody there. But nobody kind of solves the problem of hindrance by taking efforts of picking up the rock or putting it aside. By the way, whoever had done it had a bag full of gold coins under it as the prize money, but nobody does that. uh, I guess that's one story I remember. And some other stories, like, for example, if there is a 500 rupee note on the road and nobody's watching, what do you do with it? Do you just pocket it and keep quiet, or probably give it to charity, etc., etc.? So I think as kids, over the years, everyone around the world have grown up learning these lessons in morality, and over a period of time we figure out our own rules of the game of what is the right thing to do in a certain circumstance. I wonder if artificial intelligence, which is a very broad area of science, just touching about every application that is possible, as DeepMind's mission or statement says, that to build novel computer systems that learn to find solutions to difficult problems on their own. It's kind of self-learning systems. So can you throw some light here on the little kid stories that I spoke of, and this potential and possibilities of AI learning from what it does?
Yeah. It's this is, I think, the hardest question you could ever ask. In short, the answer is we don't know. Um, the longer answer is that's exactly what we are trying to figure out. It's a hard thing to grasp that I don't think humans are intelligent because they can do maths. Uh, I don't think they are intelligent because they can do logic. I think all of that just comes as a byproduct of being self-reliant. And this self-reliance comes with a lot of responsibility. And it's like, like as a kid, you always thought, oh, your parents have everything figured out. And at that time, you had the simplest life that, oh, I don't need to figure out. I have this guidance. And I remember the moment I understood that, oh, um, I'm an adult. I don't have things figured out. I'm just pretending to know what I am doing and keep figuring things out. I think that's the same journey AI is taking at this point. That before we had guidance to it, we had certain restrictions. And now what we are trying is a little bit more self reliant. And we are doing it very carefully, like how we behave in society. We try certain things and we go from there. So for example, the example you gave was really amazing, that yeah, there's a rock in the middle of the street, you have certain prize under it. What do we do? And the best part of this is we have the same situations in VR environments that we make the AI play. And it is amazing how much you can do with just three objects: a boulder, an apple, and a portal. So we have these like games that play around with these three objects and can create immense amount of complications. Just like you did with just gold and a boulder, you created a situation in which you can show that morality. And we try emulating these situations in virtual environments where AI can interact and we see the behavior. And we've been trying to understand this for ages now. What what because we also don't know the right behavior. We are seeing what is the wrong behavior. In any situation, I don't think humans can say what the right behavior is, but we can say what is not to be done. I think we always, in every situation, do that, oh, I don't know what to do, but I definitely think this is bad. And that's usually our answers. And that's how we do it. We see the behavior and then we punish it. Or we in not punish it might be like a very convoluted term here. We just see the behavior and try to stop. Yeah, that's what we are trying. We are trying that we are trying to make that AI realize on its own what to be done by saying what not to be done. That's how I have grown up. That's how all us humans grow up. And nobody tells us which field to join, what to do. And what we do understand is how to interact and how to collaborate and how to work together. And we at every point we are told, oh, no, no, this is bad because of this is bad because of this. And one point we just realize, oh, we are adults, we have to make our own decisions. And we are hoping we somehow recreate that situation with AI. I don't know if that answers your question, but I
No,
mean
I mean
that's where we are at.
no, we are actually, meandering in a wide cloud space at the moment is the feeling I'm getting. But coming back to something very specific, some simple examples,
Mm,
if you could share where AI has got things right. It has picked
yeah.
up a certain problem statements and it is adding value which we
Mm.
humans would have been denied otherwise. If you can just probably get one or two simple examples that will kind of clear the air here?
I can give examples, but one thing I would like to note is currently what we follow is something called artificial general intelligence. And that means we try to mimic humans. So it's hard to quantify if AI is adding extra value. It would be a thing that AI is trying to understand the behavior and just like amplifying it, maybe. So, for example, the movie you mentioned, where we play with um, Lee Sedol, this world champion of Go, and DeepMind created this AI to play that game against him, and we we won the game. By we, as in mean DeepMind, won the game 4-1. And then there was this one move that got really famous that came out of that game. Everything else was humans were like, oh, this is good, this is good, but nothing novel. Whereas some players tend to have their own style and create new moves. And one move that struck out with all the document, like all the people who were commenting on that game, live viewers who knew the game, just got blown away by this one move. It was called Move 37. It got there were so many papers written on it because nobody has ever seen that move. It's not that the move was never it's impossible to be thought. No, it's in our thought process. We can understand why it did it, but nobody had tried that combination of thoughts to come up to that move. And AI just thought, okay, I will try new thing of this thing, and it came out as a move, and it was a genius move. So this is what I say is like it's amplifying our thoughts. It's taking inspiration from how we think and trying to add value to this field. And now I think Lee Sedol said a very nice thing in the end when he mentioned, oh, I'm learning something new about the game that in across all my life I hadn't seen, because it's a completely new perspective on the game coming from a completely different direction. It's like why we think diversity is helpful. AI is creating that. It's creating another perspective for us to use, for us to evaluate, for us to add to our lifestyle. And it's doing that across, this is games, we are doing that across art. Now there are models that can write songs. Uh, there are some models that are creating art by mimicking certain artists, by mimicking certain styles. So it's giving us more perspectives to look at. One person is able to get hang of these models and explore them, and basically it's just empowering people who want to do more, who want to create more, who want to add something to our culture, our arts, our science.
You know,
Yeah, it's
this is
interesting.
when you say this, that you have AI algorithms which creative
Yeah.
people like songwriters or musicians can use,
Mm.
or somebody who is not a musician but want to create a music can
Yeah.
create some beautiful, you know, uh, heartfelt music using AI software. Or I was looking
Mm.
at uh, uh, stock AI or some such portal or something where
Mm.
you have unbelievable paintings that AI software has built as if it's been done by
Yeah.
a painter. And the last conversation you and I had, where I was talking to you from a very picturesque place, which I found myself
Yeah.
that day evening. And you said that, Milind, there are these AI algorithms where if I give it inputs of the surroundings that you are sitting in right now, and say that here is a middle-aged person who's sitting there and talking to me on the screen, on a phone screen, it'll actually paint a picture in you in your surroundings, uh, as close as it can be. Now,
Yeah.
the typical human response to all such, you know, magical things, if I can use that phrase, is not only awe, but awe coupled with fear, saying that, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, if there are going to be softwares which will create music, if there are going to be softwares which will paint, if there are softwares like, chat GPT or whatever one is hearing at the moment, which will probably
Hmm.
write novels for you, and you won't be able to distinguish
Hmm.
between whether it has been written by a software or whether it is being written by a human being. Visual effects, special effects, VFX stuff that movie
Yeah.
makers use. I don't know. Is it an either or? Because a general narrative around is here is AI which is going to replace humans.
Hmm.
Whereas you talked about the AlphaGo movie on YouTube, where uh,
Hmm.
the AlphaGo AI program developed by DeepMind engaged in a 5-round game with Lee Sedol, the world champion from South Korea. Uh, and AI won the whole series 4-1.
Hmm.
And the movie ends with Lee Sedol saying that this, instead of being afraid of the software, he actually thanks the software and says, thank you for making me see this game from a different light. Move 37.
Yeah.
So if we juxtapose a world where it's not AI or I, but AI and I,
Hmm.
both coexisting,
Hmm.
how do you see that manifesting us for us human being in the area of work that you do, which is arts, culture, and science?
Yeah, it's an interesting time to live in. That's what for sure. What I believe is it's always been about thoughts. It's always been about ideas. For example, I I have this software for which I can give a description, and it's an internal thing that we have trained in DeepMind. And if given a description, it paints me a sketch in any style, and it looks brilliant. Like, I have created some cinematic views of um like these landscapes that you were just describing, where you were sitting. It would be easy to create. What is not easy to create is the thought behind it. What are you trying to create? And that's what these musicians also think about, right? It's it's the feel. What can you imagine it in your head first, and then put it on the software or put it on the instrument? We've been using these instruments, these techniques, these um, technologies for a long time now. Like, for example, think about a Marvel movie. If you see the raw footage of that Marvel movie, you will never watch it. It's all the extra editing that goes behind it, all these like AIs like creating these scenes, these things, but you still connect with it. Why? It's because of that thought behind it. It's how you visualize that picture, how you set the scene, how you create the story, connect with people. And that's what these arts are about. And how I see this AI and I going along is having that correlation of design, of ideas. These the AI is just, it's not just a tool. It's becoming more complex than our understanding of tool. But that only makes us grow our understanding of what a tool is. We've been using certain tools, and now we have more complex tools to explore. And that's how we're gonna grow. We're gonna grow as in, now the particular lines in the novel won't matter, but the the storyline would matter. How you tell the AI what is the scene, how to set the scene, where is the curtain. AI is not gonna say how the curtain is moving. You need to tell it how the curtain was moving. It will put it in lines for you, it will put it in words for you, but that emotion needs to come through from you to the AI for it to understand where was the wind moving. What was the scene? It was a horror scene or it was a romantic scene? What kind of scene was it? How you're progressing that story. So now we are using these tools to explore more and more into how to set the scene and what more we can create out of these tools. For like just to give like a very funny example, I think I might have told you this before, but I lately I've been watching these stupid movies on shark attacks. So this has been going on since like 1990s. Every new director makes this new shark movie. And I was like, wait, can I make one? And I was like, oh, I can use these tools. I have all of these tools at my disposal. Why don't I try it? So I sat down on my computer. I started thinking of these themes. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a movie of sharks with Indiana Jones in it. So it's gonna be like Indiana Jones and a temple of sharks, or like anything, like some funny spoof, right? So I was like, okay, I can write a music for it. So I started writing a music. I was struggling at some point. So I was like, okay, my theme is sort of like this. So I created some sort thing and told AI to like explore on that side, saw some ideas, got inspiration, reflected on those ideas, and created some music. Then I was like, okay, now I need a poster for this movie. So I started describing the poster like, oh, this shark is standing on this temple, um, trying to attack. And I wrote this 2 paragraphs of description, saw the picture. I was like, oh, maybe this is missing in this picture. Changed my description, got another picture. And in earlier times, this would have taken me months
Correct.
because I am bad at drawing, bad at sketching,
Correct.
but I had just this idea of this movie and I started just preparing how to execute what. It's just the artistic integrity till I find this agreeable to my liking. I'm going to keep iterating on it, and now I have these tools to give me more inspiration to see how it looks like on like just certain scale and iterate. And then I right now I think my next weekend project would be to also generate movies. I think that's a little bit more complicated. I have to write some code for it, but I think I'm gonna try it. So I'm gonna set these sharks in one scene and make them move in certain way and see what happens. And that's what these tools are for. It's just to explore what thoughts you have and how to actually execute them.
You're taking me back to that evening when I had this conversation with you last week, Sumedh, where I was talking to you from a small riverside village called Khanapur,
Hmm,
a small hamlet of hardly 4,000 to 5,000 people on the backwaters of Khadakwasla Dam in Pune city.
hmm,
Khadakwasla Dam is a huge reservoir of water which supplies drinking water to the city of Pune with a little over 3 million of population. And the backwater run almost 15-20 kilometers because upstream it is being fed by another dam. And that's the kind of geography that exists in this place. And this small village called Khanapur is on the banks of this river, nestled between two mountain ranges, and there's a river that flows in between. There's a small garden plant nursery which is out there, and Asha and I were there, and we happened to get onto a
hmm,
call there. Fortunately, 4G internet works, and there's a nice little lawn there. And I saw a young girl of about 16, 17 years old uh, who was with her mobile phone shooting a small kid, 3 or 4 years old, who was kicking a balloon, uh, and as the balloon would kick, it would go and the kid would run and it'll kick it again and it'll go up in the air, it'll jump to catch it and so on and so forth. And this little 17, 18-year-old girl was shooting it on her mobile phone. And I was like fascinated sitting in one corner watching all this. This was after our call was over. And I couldn't stop myself. I kind of butted in and I asked this girl, what's your name? I think her name was Vinita or Vanita Yadav or something. She is, I think, in her 11th or 12th grade high school. And she says that boy was her nephew who was enjoying his third or the fourth birthday. And they had come to celebrate there. And I said, what are you doing on the phone? He says, no, I'm going to take a video of all this. And I have an app with which I'm going to edit it. I'm going to add some slow motion and I'm going to add some music. And I'm going to make a nice reel out of it and put it on Instagram, a 2-minute reel. I said, what software are you using? I have no clue. So she showed me there's a software called VN, V for victory, N for network, which was an app on her Android mobile phone. And she quickly actually edited the 2-3 sequences and showed me a 30-second clip of the little boy kicking the balloon. It's going up in the air. And as it goes up in the air, it suddenly becomes slow motion. There's a music. It is like production grade video.
Yeah.
And this girl of 17, 18 from the small village called Khanapur is effortlessly able to do it. And she has no qualms about it. She's done, okay, it's like, so what? So it's kind of a part of her life. Technology is so part of her life. And I wonder, at some point in time, AI, apart from solving massive radiology and, the Big Bang and other problems, will also empower millions and billions of ordinary people around the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we I think neglect how important arts or these small tasks are to us. Um, I mean, I'm not the best person to talk about this because I work in medical industry and in AI. We deal with these how medical AI is robust, how to make it better, how to solve certain problems that doctors are facing, and we try to help them as much. But at some point, I also wonder. I think I've started liking these small models as well. Just something that makes us human, something that just like that girl you were talking about, just making that video. I think it makes us happy, it makes us whole. And we stop thinking about that as an AI, just something to make us happier in the day. It's just that I'm not sure she might have felt amazing after. That's what I'm assuming.
Sure.
That video must have felt that, oh, she actually showed her nephew's life to the world. And I think those things also matter. Uh, and I think in last 1 year when I've been working on this, like the resort I think you mentioned early on, which I'm helping my mother and father grow this business. We have so many small tasks to do, like just like you said, the small girl was taking the the video of her nephew on this camera. We have the same problem. We are, no one of us is a professional photographer, but our major marketing campaign runs on Instagram. So how do we get content? How do we clean that content up? It's all it's all apps. And we have big billboards on our road to our resort, and those are like big billboards, like 8 by 9 foot big boards. And I don't have a camera that can shoot this, and that, I mean, I can hire someone to shoot this, but that would cost me a lot of money. So what I did was, I have this one content gatherer who has an iPhone. We shot on her iPhone, and the AI enlarged that photo to the quality actually required for this billboard.
Beautiful.
And it's such a small thing that you, once you do it, you are like, oh wow, 3 years ago I was working on that same exact research, and that time I was not so passionate about this problem. I was like, yeah, these are like amplifiers, they are fine, like who cares. And they're just interesting research problem, but once I use it, I see the other side of it. I'm like, I don't need a professional photographer. This student who's helping me make reels is able to take photos on her iPhone, and she's brilliant. Don't get me wrong, she's absolutely brilliant. She takes perfect shots. It's just that she doesn't know how to use that expensive camera that can make the billboard like picture. And I'm like, don't worry about that. Take the shot you like. We'll make it big.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
and it works. And I'm just like so
Absolutely.
baffled at certain
Absolutely.
points.
Now that you're talking about quickly, why don't you tell us about what is Tamarind Resort and what sort of experiences you and your mom and dad are hoping, actually creating for
Yeah.
people like us?
um yeah, it's been a last 1 year project for, I think maybe 1.5 year project for my mom dad. I was involved in the early phase to just like see where we can, how we can drive this business. The thought behind was, I think both mom and dad were living in Mumbai, same life, and I mean, people get bored, and they were like, no, we want to do something within the community. We want to like add certain value to the community and try to create something new. So they were like, okay, we can go to Alibag, which is a nearby destination. We'll start like a bed and breakfast. We'll invite people over. We'll start doing some kitchen gardens, something little bit more artsy. We will manage the place. And so what came out of it was Tamarind Retreat. Um, so we sat all together and we decided to put all our thoughts in one place. um, Mom was passionate about growing her own like kitchen garden. I was passionate about creating an artsy space, like the the beauty, like how one person enters. What does he see? Is it symmetrical? Is it asymmetrical? What kind of colors are used? Or how the rooms are, their interior. Dad wanted to get involved more in the community. When people come at the place, what do they experience? Like, uh are they friendly with each other? Are they like alone? Can I go talk to them? Can I ask them, like, do you want to just play certain games or like just watch a movie? So we wrote everything down, and what we came up with was a like a cliched thing, but a tagline. What we were thinking was rethinking how we live. And because we had pets, it also became pet friendly. That was the last straw we just like got in as a free. So that's what Tamarind is about. It's rethinking how we live. Uh, we all want to do certain things in our life to grow, and that's exactly what Tamarind Retreat represents. It has a beautiful organic garden. I mean, we are at 45% in-house growth. That 45% of everything we use, uh, vegetarian, is grown inside the property. So while you walk in the property, while you're thinking of your lunch, you can see left to right the things you're gonna eat. You will see cabbages growing, you will see the palak growing there, you will see the 2 year investments we have done in avocado plants, which are going to come in 2 years, but I really hope they do. um, but yeah, you will see these experiences like looking at the food, then I order the lunch. Mom goes there, picks up that thing, cooks it in the and we have the now the kitchen setup, and then you will get that experience. At night, we have like live movie theaters, like outdoors under the tree, so you can just relax, watch whatever you want. You can also, there is like spaces we have created which are more dynamic. They have a lot of elements of nature, wood, but also brings everyone together to play cards, to like just, I mean, sit and enjoy like friends. Obviously, that's part of the experience. Um, there are a lot of there is barbecue space. There is a pond where you can relax, watch fish. There is a nice bridge on that pond. So all of these elements add a lot of mental calmness to the experience. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to express the emotion that you will feel. I think you, what you need to do is might visit the place and then tell me back what you think as like the experience of Tamarind. I
Sure.
think that is more valuable as a community aspect than
Absolutely.
what I
Without
can tell.
without any doubt. And I think this is not only sounding so fascinating, but in a couple of minutes, you actually built a picture for us of what
Yeah.
Tamarind Resort is, uh, as if it's an AI model creating a painting in that sense. So, Sumedh, as a research engineer in DeepMind, you are focusing on some very interesting futuristic questions at the intersection of arts, culture, and science, with the larger goal of trying to build or help build artificial intelligence as a technology and a tool to enhance and enrich human life in the tomorrow and the day after. At the same time, you are working and helping your parents. You're working with and helping your parents uh, build and grow Tamarind Retreat, where the dream is to look at a life at probably the way it used to be lived sometime in the past. A slow paced, nice life amidst nature, where much of the things you grow in your backyard. So you have kind of one foot in the life of yesteryears and another foot in the future. At this interesting stage, what are the two or three things Sumedh would like to tell Sumedh?
Yeah, I think couple of things that I am trying to fix, or like trying to tell myself every day, um, is don't be hard on myself. I think the first thing. The second thing is about creative thought. Take a different approach of like, oh, this is interesting. What can I do about this? This approach change of like, I want to solve the problem to a creative thought actually makes a lot of difference. It takes a pressure out of the situation, and it adds a little bit more creative side. Like I start thinking little out of the box. I'm like, what if I do this? Maybe this. Third thing I would say is don't be scared. If you have a interesting idea, if you have a new song idea, if I have a new thing idea. So before I used to be like scared, I'm like, no, I am not gonna do this because this is tough. I was like, no, okay, do 10%. Maybe it will be something and others will help with the rest 90%, or you will find it interesting and you will do the rest, everything 100%. And that's a very powerful thought where you don't get scared of your new ideas, and you, but it's a hard thing to like push yourself every day. You're just like, no, 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 maybe it's the same with this podcast. Actually, I was really scared of doing this podcast.
No, I
Coming
mean,
back the whole circle.
no, I think
Um,
as they
and
say that you make choices about what you are deeply passionate about, and
hmm,
take those first few steps, because I guess, uh, as they say, the only resource that you have is the light that you yourself are. And
hmm,
at every step, the light will probably show what's ahead 10 feet, because the light only goes so
yeah.
far. It's okay. I walk 10 feet and the light goes further. And the journey of 1,000 steps get completed. So, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation, Sumedh, kind of meandering in many directions, uh,
Yeah.
touching many aspects of Sumedh Gaisas, the AI research engineer and the creative person that he is. So I've enjoyed every moment of this conversation. Just would like to hear from you. How did this go for you?
I think the experience has been amazing. I've never spoken like this um, ever in my life, to be honest. Has been a new experience that uh, has taught me a lot also, while preparing or like while just thinking what I'm going to speak about. Because do I have any interesting things to say? Um, and now that I'm speaking, it just doesn't matter if it's interesting. It's just a conversation. And I think I felt very relaxed later, and then become like a amazing conversation. And I really liked it. I think this yeah, I would do this again if ever there is a chance of being on a podcast. It's, I think, a great experience for yourself and for the conversation.
Wonderful, Sumedh. And if for whatever reason, uh, you come to India during the summer months or the monsoon months following that,
Absolutely.
I'd love to meet you and have a nice coffee with
At
you
Tamarind.
at Tamarind. Okay.
Yeah, that would
Right.
be nice.
Right. Chalo. See you. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you for your time today, my dear listeners. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri, signing off. Goodbye. Take care and stay safe. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as a piece of any professional advice. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of its guest. Creators of this podcast expressly disclaim any and all liability or responsibility for any direct or indirect, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of this podcast. For feedback and suggestions, please write to wingsindia75 at gmail.com. Thank you.